Hello, my name is Camille, and here I have Battalion Chief Moore.
I am Battalion Chief Moore. I've been with the Winston-Salem Fire Department for 19 years. I've been a battalion chief for 3 years.
Wow. So let's get started. Okay. Can you tell me about your career and how it began?
Yes, so my career with the Winston-Salem Fire Department started in 1999. So I've been, like I said, here for right at about 19 years. In January will be 20. And I then went to, of course, college, finished school at UNCG, entered the medical field. Wasn't what you say a passion of mine, but it was kind of the path that my life went. And then after 10 years in the medical field, I decided it wasn't what I wanted to do. I was a little bored and wanted a profession that would be a little bit more exciting for me. So then I decided, along with a friend, that we would attempt the fire department.
Cool. So what sparked your interest in pursuing this career?
So one, I realized as I talked with a friend who had always wanted to be a firefighter, as she was growing up. She only went to college just to play volleyball, but she knew that when she finished college, she was going to be a firefighter. So what kind of got me started was her. She said, why don't we train together, and then let's see if this is something we want to do. So I wasn't raised to be a firefighter. Didn't know where fire stations were in the city. But then once we did that, I was successful with the training and got offered the job with the Winston Fire Department.
Pretty cool way to get into work. It's a lot of work.
Yes.
Side note question. She can edit this. Did you have athletic? Were you athletic at UNCG?
Yes. So as I went to college, I played 2 sports, and I feel that my background, even coming through grade school, middle school, and all of that, is that I was always interested in sports and had a background with team aspect. So I feel like that, yes, this kind of geared me towards this profession that I felt physically I could do the job, because I have always been kind of a physical aspect kind of person, picking up things, moving things, wanting to be around people as a group. So I think it was a field that kind of guided me that way. Yes, exactly.
This job requires a lot of activity.
It does. It requires a lot of activity, but what I like to tell, as I continue to talk to a lot of females, that mentally is definitely a part of it also, in your well-being. So it takes a facet of being physically ready, mentally ready to do, because of this professional job that we have chosen.
And it is a not female dominated field.
Absolutely not. It is still hugely dominated by males, and it is still hugely dominated by white males. So even as we talk as far as minorities, we and I continue to go to career fairs. I continue to be wherever I can to push not just us as females into this field, but to push minorities, because it is a field that I feel that we can add so much to being firefighters.
What is the best thing about your career and the not so best thing about your career?
I feel that the best thing about being a firefighter is that, one, of course, the community aspect of it, the helping part of it, helping people that that when they call 911 and they need the fire department, it is an emergency. So being trained to the best of your ability to go and assist in such an emergency, to me, that's the best part of our job. Yes, it is a dangerous job, but our training kicks in, and we have people that come with us. We have teams of people that come to get that job done, but you never know when that incident is coming. You never get bored being a firefighter, because you don't know. It is the unknown, and every day, every shift that you come in, you don't know when the bell is going off. So that's the best part. I would say my least favorite part um, in my position that I'm in now as a battalion chief, is that my span of control continues to where I go out and I have to reach and talk with, as far as my people that's that I'm over, that I'm their supervisors, is that it's a continuous trying to make sure that you're reaching people in all aspects. And the more people that I have to do, I feel like that I might lose some people to be in touch with. So, but that's kind of that personal touch that I want to have with each individual. So that's the least part of being a battalion chief that I feel. But as far as the job itself, it is tough for me to find something that I can say that this job is not an awesome job to have.
So like, how many years of education do you need to have this profession, and like, do you have any graduate degrees or anything like that?
Yes. So the requirements for being a firefighter is to be a high school graduate. You can have your GED also, and then we put you through recruit school for 20 weeks. It's a long recruit school, but there you get the foundation and the basis of what it would take to be a firefighter. And then once we do that, you get into a station, and then we encourage, and we our expectations is that we would love for people to have postgraduate degrees, whether it's in fire science, or whether it's in emergency management, or whether it is a degree, a math degree, a science degree, or whatever degree you would have, because we feel that that extra education is so much more than just what that degree is. It's that work in a classroom setting, it's that writing, it's the speaking, it's the being around, it's that social part of it, that once you become and want to be in the fire department, you're so much rounded of a person. And I have, of course, a bachelor's degree.
Can you speak more on fire science?
Yeah, fire science. But I don't
Sure.
think people know
Yes.
what fire science is.
Absolutely. So when we talk about as far as being in the fire department and having a fire science degree, of course, it's our curriculum that you have to have when it talks about learning how to pump a truck, okay? And when we say that, pumping an apparatus is not just driving it and getting out and think your water is going to just automatically appear. You have to have some sense of and some knowledge and some ability and skills about friction loss. Like when you do pull a hose off, how much water do you need? That's a calculation as far as math. And then when the orifices open up, so when we open a nozzle, then we're going to lose what we call pressure in that water. And it takes pressure and lots of water to put, the bigger the fire, the more pressure and the more water you're going to need. So it takes a calculation from that driver operator that's running that apparatus to understand. So that's the math in it, that's the science in it. And then when you talk about fire itself and how fire develops, that's the true science of it, because you have to have fuel, you have to have an ignition source, and you have to have things or material that will burn. Without one of those aspects, you won't have fire. So, but as long as we have humans, you know, that has the ignition source, whether it's a lighter, whether it's matches, cigarettes, or whatever, we know, and we have ovens in our homes, we have fireplaces, we have things that truly are, that have already ignition source. So that means there's an opportunity there that something can catch on fire if we as humans aren't being vigilant and making sure we're doing the right thing. So that's truly that science of how fire develops, and then what it takes for us when we arrive to put that fire out. That's also a science in it.
So how do most people like get in this field? Do you know?
Most of the people that are in the field, if we want to talk about the majority, a lot of them are generations. A lot of them, so a long time ago, even before my time, there was just rural areas where there was just lots of land, and you may just see one house, you know, and then you won't see another house for a long time. But still, there were humans, so there were still science part that a fire could happen. So if it did, how did those fires get put out? So then they realized, and at that point, they had to have people right in those communities putting their fires out. That's how a lot of people got into the fire service. They were literally putting their neighbors' fires out. They were literally putting their fires out, and which became the volunteer firefighters. And that's how that predominantly certain group of people became the most interested in firefighting, because they had to protect their own homes, and that's that rural area. So then, of course, as we continue, and then you have the urban and the inner cities, then you will have some aspect of differences of people that's now interested in firefighting, and then the profession of, and that's where we are trying to grow our profession the most, as far as people, and because our community is reflecting that. So as our community reflects difference in people who are there, then we would love for those people to be jumping off the fire truck, so somebody can relate to the people that are in the community.
So if you could start all over again, then what would you change?
If I could start all over again, what I would change is that I wouldn't have gone into the medical profession first. If somebody had have talked to me prior to and saying, you know what, no, firefighting is for a female, I would have gone sooner and started this profession, because it is very physical. And we as females, as we're young, we know we still want the same thing as men want. We want a career, we want a family, and we want to be successful. The fact that females have to have the actual birthing of the child, then that's a delay, you know, in our physical ability and what we have to do as far as firefighting. It's not like going back to the office in a secretarial job and sitting and answering the phone, because a lot of women that have kids that's in those professions, to even teaching, they can go back sooner. But as a female firefighter, it's going to take us longer after a child, because of the physical aspect of jumping on those trucks, pulling those hoses, putting all that equipment back on. So most females don't even think it could possibly be for them. But I'm here to say that yes, it can be. You know, you do have to think about it sooner. So that's why we're starting to be, even in the elementary schools, talking about females can be a firefighter, and the reason why it could be a great profession for you.
So what would you tell girls in general, or anybody who's watching this right now, or watching this in the future?
Sure. So what I would like to say is that, one, it's a profession that everyone is not going to want to do it, but it's a profession that if you physically and mentally prepare yourself, it's a great profession to have. It doesn't pay as much as a doctor. It doesn't pay as much as, but we give incentives for education. We want just as smart people that people feel that are physicians. We want those same people in the fire department. We want you to be just as smart. So we encourage that you go to school. We don't want you as a high school graduate, even though that's our requirement. That's all you have to have. But we don't like just minimums. We like to go beyond the minimum. So we want you as a college graduate where you've gained so much. So I would say that yes, go to school, find up your passion, what you're gonna like, because that's the only way you'll have the longevity, is that you love it. But find out about different things, so you'll find, because I didn't know, and if I didn't have a friend to say, I know it's different, I know you never thought about it, but let's think about it, I wouldn't be where I am today in a profession that I love. For 19 years, I've never hated the alarm clock going off when it was my shift. I might have hit the snooze for a little bit, but I jumped up and I hit that floor like, oh yes, this is my shift day. And I come to work and I love it. So if there's anybody that I can say to, hey, if you just give this a try, I guarantee them that 30 years later, they're gonna be like, wow, I'm glad I did.
how passionate you are about this.
Yeah, so it is. It's a great job.
Do you have any like professional organizations that you belong to?
Yeah, so I'm in the, I belong to the International Association of Fire Chiefs. Part of that, we're part of the North Carolina Firefighters Association also. And usually what the International Association of Fire Chief does is that they have different seminars and sessions all over the country that I can choose to go to and participate in, but it's like a professional development. So it's always continuous improvement of who I am, my skills, my abilities, and that's why I go to these different conferences. Because just like with education, and just like we encourage education, we don't want you to stop, because it's always a continuous improvement of what you can do with yourselves and with your education. So that's why I'm a part of those different professional entities, because it does offer a professional and personal development for me as a firefighter and as a person in general.
What developments on the horizon could affect your future opportunities in this field?
So I would say that one, technology changes all the time and is becoming more of who we are as a society and all. And technology is starting to get more and more into the fire service. So I have to continue to try to stay abreast on the technology and what's out there. We're starting to introduce drones to the fire service, drones to the police department, also when you talk about public safety. And with that technology, then for me, that's something that I could look into, start, going to classes about, because who knows, that could maybe set someone into being a drone operator, for which could be through the fire service, public safety, but something that if somebody loves doing something like that, that could be an avenue. And then we have our emergency management kind of departments that that's kind of an off thing of the fire service that guides more, and they're more of a resource allocation. So when you see the hurricanes and you see, wow, who's helping those people, emergency management is a huge part of that, because they're the ones that coordinate the shelters along with American Red Cross. So those things like that are kind of off-site professions that people don't know that's there.
Are there any like opportunities for self-employment? I don't think there would be.
Right. For self-employment for fire service, I'm going to say no, there isn't. Now, once retirement, if someone chooses and they retired out of the fire service, we've seen retirees go into like the fire extinguisher service, because they have been a firefighter, they understand fire extinguishers. So some people have done that and maybe gotten maybe another 5-10 years of working, if that's what they choose. Because a lot of our firefighters come very young to us, especially those that come right out of high school. We hire at 18 years old. So you think 30 years, some of the people are just in their early 50s. And you may not think that's young, but early 50s is young. It is young, because people were living longer and all of that. So when they retire at early 50s, they're like, wow, what am I going to do? So some go into the fire extinguisher, some go into emergency management. So there's a few things that people can do.
Could you like elaborate more on your recruitment program?
Sure. So as we go out and do different fairs and try to tell people and get our voice out there that, hey, it's a profession that will be awesome for you. Once you're hired, so you go through our process of our human resources through the city of Winston-Salem, put in an application, and periods that the fire department will hire, and we have that on the website of the cityofwinstonsalem.org that tells when our period is open for applications. You put in an application, and everyone has to come to an ability test, which is the physical part of you coming and kind of showing us that day that you can get through you have to do it within 7 minutes and 10 seconds. We have it hold it at our King campus, Forsyth Tech King campus. If you're successful there, we then put you through a written examination. If you're successful there, then you have an interview of a panel of myself and others, about 4 others of us that will then interview you. And then we then choose people that we would like to be in our recruit school. Once you start recruit school, like I said, it's a 20-week recruit school, and it's you get your EMT, your medical emergency medical technician certification, because we're all EMTBs on our fire trucks. So when we run medical calls, we have that type of certification, and that's what we offer as far as how our delivering our services to people. And then you go into what we call our fire portion, and that's where you're learning how to drive an apparatus. You're learning what hoses are, what connections means. You're learning the fire signs of fire, how fire develops, the fire behavior, fire control, the ventilation. So there's lots of courses in that 20 weeks that we put the candidate through, or the recruit through. And then, of course, there's the wellness part. So on the Monday, and that's 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, they do the wellness part. So they're up at 6 o'clock in the morning, somewhere in our city, doing PT, physical training. And so we have that aspect of it also, because we know we have to have very physical, trained people to be able to do the job.
Considering all the people you've met in your field, including yourself, what personal attributes are essential for success?
I would say it is, 1, perseverance, continuous improvement, having a good understanding of who you are, understanding what drives you, what motivates you. And once you find what motivates you, then that's when that perseverance, that dedication, that commitment kind of comes in, that you have to put forth to make sure that who you are and what you want to be, that it's you that has to take on that personal endeavor to make sure that it happens. There's going to be roadblocks, so you're going to have some patience. You're going to have some understanding of, I'm going to need someone else, because you can't, I didn't get here by myself. Trust me, I know that. So there are people that set the roadblock for me. There are people that helped me along the way, because it is for us as females, it is a continuous showing and proving that we belong, and you can't get tired of showing people that you belong, because they're going to continue to push you and keep bringing it to your attention, that questioning you sure you should be here. So you and yourself have to make sure that you are empowered within yourself, and wherever that is that you have to reach for, to make sure that you have that in, with the understanding that, oh yeah, I will need help, whether it's my family, whether it's a higher being, whether it's friends, but positive people around you. And I think that's the mode for success, pretty much for anything, but definitely when you know you're going outside the boundaries a little bit, and you want to touch the ceiling, which is so exciting to me when I see that. That's when you know you do, the work is on, and be ready to do the work.
That concludes our interview.
Well, thank you so much.
So thank you. And this was amazing opportunity. Thank you so much. I'll cherish this one forever.
Well, thank you.
Bye.